Hello and welcome to Daddy Issues, the podcast where we talk about popular culture and how it fucks up our relationship with our parents. My name is Dominic. With me, as always, is the magnificent, the majestic, the Italian stallion. It's David Bryan.
Oh, I'm not even remotely Italian.
I don't know. I reckon you could pass for it. You have the kind of ethnically ambiguous skin tone that The Rock was attributed to with like 10 years ago, where they were like, we need some colorblind casting. You cast The Rock. And you've got that similar kind of skin tone where if someone cast you as like a Mediterranean person, like people wouldn't be too upset about it. They wouldn't be like, he's not really Italian. Like you could pass for Greek, Spanish. Maybe your hair's a little bit too dark for Spanish. Southern Spanish, like Andalusia. I can see you passing for some of that.
Yeah, that happens. It's like every summer holiday I've been on to a foreign country that I get spoken to in the native tongue as if I'm from there. And I'm awfully sorry, I'm English.
That's another Austin Powers reference, and I'm taking it.
Yeah, like it's not just Europe, like North Africa. I haven't been to the Middle East, but I reckon I've worn some Middle Eastern garb for a costume once, and I think I was pretty convincing.
Do you know what? I had a moment when I was in Lebanon, and I'd just flown from China to Lebanon, and it was like a country and a culture I hadn't been in before, and I went to get my hair cut. And the people that were talking to me like, oh, you've got ginger hair. Are you from Lebanon? I was like, what? What are you talking about? Then I went to Turkey. I was working in Turkey. And some of the guys from the place I was working were like, your ginger beard, you look just like a celebrity from Turkey. Are you Turkish? I was like, I'm blonde with a ginger beard. What do you mean, am I Turkish? But sometimes we have those moments, right, where you are surprised by your preconceptions of what countries and cultures are like, right? We'd be preconditioned. Oh, you have a ginger beard. Are you from Scotland? Or like people would always say, why do you have blonde hair and a ginger beard? That's so weird. And then I go to Turkey and they're like, of course you have blonde hair and a ginger beard.
Maybe there's just a thing between Turkish and Lebanese barbers that they like taking the piss out of people with ginger beards. Like, let's pretend like he's from here when he really looks like a freak.
Oh my god, what a fucking weirdo. Yeah, you might be right. Well, it's good to talk to you as always, Dave, because right now we are back for the 4th installment of NeDom Genesis Daveangelion. Bow, bow, bow.
It's a roller coaster. It's a runaway freight train. You can't stop.
Oh my god, seriously it is, because this is our penultimate episode. This is episode 16-20 with only 21 to 26 to go. Like, the freight train's almost pulling into the station, baby. Like,
it's not slowing down yet, though.
No way. I feel like this was a particularly interesting installment, because when we started, I sent you a message at the very beginning to say to you, Neon Genesis Evangelion, I'm waiting for those WTF is going on messages, right? And before it was like, oh, we've got some anime stuff. There's some themes, but it is what it is. 16-20, the ride gets pretty fucking weird. How do you feel about what's going on so far?
It did go in another direction that left me panicking, that I was like, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, and maybe I'm sure Dom knows all the themes and the messages that are hidden within this very bizarre imagery. It's going to be obvious to him, and I'm here like, what's going on? So it's actually really helpful to be able to follow up watching these episodes by talking to you, because there'll be a lot of throughout this episode coming from my end, I think. Yeah.
Well, I should just forewarn you and the audience. I am 3 pints of Jack Daniels into this conversation.
That mean that's a lot of alcohol? You are talking about it being mixed with a soft beverage.
It is mixed with the beverage. Yeah, I'm not about to die.
I was about to require
a paramedic.
Yeah, it's like, I think we should probably stop recording now, because you might need an ambulance.
Just send them round. But I was saying before this, I'm staying with my dad at the moment, so I'm in the daddy issues environment. And I was saying to Dad before, actually being drunk is kind of the perfect state to be in when talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion, because it gets to a point where it's so out there that you may as well be hallucinating. So ultimately,
I
what
go
difference is
into
it going to
that.
make?
Why? And here I am drinking water, like a fucking snowflake.
Well, you know, you're a real Shinji over there, and I'm a regular Asuka. I'm just fucking. What are you doing, you nerd? Over
Well,
here.
maybe you're Masato with their
This
habitual drinking.
Yeah, that's true. So, Dave, we were going to record this a couple of days ago, but we pushed it back. And a couple of days ago, I had a thought. Right, I remember I was running on the treadmill. Well, I was walking at a fast pace on the treadmill.
Thank you for being honest.
Yeah, I don't want to pretend that I'm more fit than I am, because I look like, as I mentioned before, Fred Dukes the Blob. But I was on the treadmill, and while I was on the treadmill, I was watching episode 19 of Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is called A Man's Battle, or Introjection, I think. And as I was watching the episode, I sent you a message. It said, episode 19 should be retitled, You're in My House Now, bitch. And as I sent you that message, I thought, it is such a shame that I haven't given Dominic titles to every other single episode of Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah.
So what I have done for you is I have retitled every episode from episode 1 to 20 with the Dominic title, and I have sent you the appropriate title card. So
those are the things you sent to me. Okay.
I've sent you 20...
told me not to look at them until we were recording. So
yes.
For the reveal could be.
Yes, I have sent
recorded.
you 20 image files containing my renaming of each episode so far, so we can recap what has happened in Neon Genesis Evangelion up to this point.
Okay.
With something that I feel is emotionally specific for each episode, right? So
right.
we'll see. Maybe you might read it and go, "Oh no, we should change the episodes." So once you've got those images up, I did send you 20 image files. You might have to move them into a different folder. But once they're ready to go, let me.
I've got the first one up and ready.
Great. So episode 1, which is Angel Attack. Episode 1 is retitled, Just How Many Tokyos Are There?
I mean, it's a fine question. And,
yes.
I'm doing my best to... I've already failed. I didn't want to bring up the grammatical error, but...
Don't you do it.
I think the people that need to know, it's just there is one, and maybe that's enough.
Is it the apostrophe of Tokyos?
I really don't enjoy when people put an apostrophe on a plural.
You know, I am an English as a foreign language teacher, but I can't help myself.
I love those apostrophes.
I know, I love apostrophes. I can't help myself. It feels like it needs to be there. I know, but if I'm
sorry for being so pernickety.
That's all right. As sometimes as a teacher, you need. If my students did this, I'd be giving them a serious chastising. So
maybe it's a pertinent to point out that when sometimes with some of your writing you have sent to me in the past to double check, and most of my notes have been shouldn't be an apostrophe there.
I know. Seriously,
I
love adding apostrophes to plurals. It just looks right. It looks right, and the English language is often wrong, unless it's American English, in which case, fuck off with your aluminum, you sons of bitches. Right.
And not putting U's in colour and things like that.
Yeah. It's as if we need the language to be phonetical, which we don't, because we're not stupid. Okay? Right. Anyway. So, episode 1, just how many Tokyos are there? This is a deliberate reference to the fact that in episode 1, we discover we're in Tokyo 3, which suggests the existence of Tokyo 2, and who knows what happened to Tokyo 1, so just how many Tokyos are there? Right.
That's a good point. There's at least 3, or there have been at least 3.
Has been at least 3.
Yeah.
Episode 2, Unfamiliar Ceilings and the Beast. I have renamed. I hate these bloody ceilings.
I hate these bloody ceilings.
Yeah, I think if it was an English dub, not like just an English language dub, but like redubbed by English people, That's what Shinji would be saying. Not, oh, I haven't seen this ceiling before. He'd be like, I hate these bloody ceilings. And so I feel like that's somewhat appropriate.
Nice. You're bringing the subtext to the fore with your titles.
Especially for episode 3, which episode 3 is called The Silent Phone and a Transfer. I have renamed. I'll leave this one to you because you do the best voice acting for this.
Okay. Berserker Barrage!
Yeah, I went for a fucking Marvel vs. Capcom reference, bitch.
You did. That Wolverine's Berserker Barrage.
Yes.
Excellent.
This is the reference for when Shinji inside Unit 01 protects his friends from the oncoming angel. And then they come inside the pod, and he just fucking knifes that angel to death, and it's kind of crazy and gross, and they think he's some pathetic little boy, but actually it's kind of this emotional moment, and yeah. Anyway, so it's a cool moment.
That is cool.
Yeah. Episode 4, Rain After Running Away and the Hedgehog's Dilemma, is renamed as Shinji Quits, not for the first time, and not for the last.
That's very apt, yeah.
Yes, because if there's one thing we know about Shinji Ikari, the boy loves quitting. And
we're gonna get onto that with some of these episodes today, but yeah, he definitely walks away a number of times. He'd be a terrible smoker.
Top
I quit.
3 things.
Nah, I'm not gonna quit. I quit.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just do one more.
What you're saying, he would be a fantastic smoker, because that's what smokers are like.
Well, yeah,
right?
He'd be a great example of a smoker.
Yeah. He's a fucking Marlboro Dream, is our Shinji Ikari, yeah. Which brings us on to episode 5.
I'm going to have to put these up so the audience can enjoy them too.
Yeah. Boobies.
Boobies.
Yeah, because this is the episode where Shinji falls on top of Rei when she is naked in the apartment. And he falls on top, and this is kind of the beginning of themes and ideas of puberty that spread throughout. And boobies, again, another topic we're going to bring up in the episodes today. Let me tell you, there are boobies aplenty. But yeah, it's just a good chance to touch on those themes because they're coming back. So which brings us on to episode 6, which I have retitled. I'd almost forgotten that this was an anime, because this touches on that thing we'd spoken about at when we moved on to our second episode, which was Neon Genesis Evangelion. It has the pretense of being about robots fighting aliens, but really it's about underlying themes: religion, puberty, growing up, depression, what it means for all of these things. But then massive robots build a giant sniper rifle and draw all of the electricity from Japan and do a bunch of anime shit. And that's kind of what episode 6 touches on, I feel.
It brings you back to the action.
Yes. Episode 7, this title makes me laugh.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, Rock'em Sock'em Ritsuko. This is the... Oh, Dominic, considering I came up with these in about 5 minutes, other than perhaps boobies, I thought that there was actually there was something pretty good going on here. This is the episode where the other company, Jet Alone, build their own robot without the need of an Ava pilot. And Ritsuko and Ikari, Commander Ikari, work together to sabotage the project of the other robots. And it's up to Misato and Shinji to defeat the other giant robot using their human ingenuity. But it's all down to Ritsuko. So it's robot versus robot. Another theme we're going to fucking bring about today. Let me tell you, I didn't just throw this together for no reason, Dave. This stuff is all tying in. But Rock'em Sock'em Ritsuko, I was particularly proud of that.
That's pretty fun. You put this all together in 5 minutes, and yet you're tying themes with between past and future.
So episode 8. Episode 8 was just for you.
Dave said, "Just when I liked all the characters, who's this?" Yeah, that good memories. Oh, good times.
Good luck blocking that, censoring that. I've written it on the image.
I won't bother. I don't feel so bad about seeing it written. But yeah, hearing me say it was jarring.
Dominic, you wily devil.
You are the devil.
This was the direct reference to the arrival of Asuka, and not just Asuka, but but also Kaji, who appear in this. And as we said back discussing episode 8, we finally settled into all of the characters, and then suddenly chaos is added in, and it's like I think we said in that episode. It's like as things have settled, a Molotov cocktail is lobbed in, and everything we had known is kind of unsettled.
Yeah.
Which leads us into episode 9, mind matching moment. Both of you dance like you want to win, which I just renamed Wow, Human Emotions. Which is kind of a step back, I thought, from those anime-esque themes. As we, there are robots fighting monsters, but it's kind of about those characters.
Yeah, the kind of synthesis between opposing energies, kind of.
Yeah.
Red and blue and hot and cold.
It literally, yeah, red and blue. And hot and cold brings us on to episode 10, The Magma Diver, where Asuka has to jump into a volcano.
Which you've renamed. That penguin saw your first boner.
That was our merchandising for this episode, and I thought it was perfect.
That might be my one enduring memory from this entire series will be that.
That penguin saw your first boner. Just after Shinji has saved the day, they go to he saved Asuka from being melted in a volcano. They go to the hot springs to relax, and Shinji hears Masato and Asuka kind of washing each other, and he gets a little bit aroused. And Pen is there to watch it happen. That penguin saw your first boner. Yeah. Episode 11. Now, I don't know if you remember what happened in episode 11, but I want to see if you can remember from the title.
Okay, I won't look at my notes of reference then. Episode 11. Like I say, these have come through in a weird order. There it is. Ew, eyes are gross. They are, especially in this one. They're drippy, and that's kind of grim imagery.
Yes, yeah, this is from the episode where you have like the spider angel that climbs over, and then like acid drips out from its eye, and it's kind of disgusting and melts everything, and it's a good episode where Asuka kind of learns that she can take charge and she can be a leader of sorts. But disgusting eyes. Episode 12 is A Miracle's Worth, and she said, "Don't make others suffer for your personal hatred." I got a little bit self-indulgent with this episode.
Oh, yeah. Shall we see?
Yeah.
Episode 12. Daddy Issues.
Daddy Issues. I thought that was the perfect episode title for this episode, where Gendo Ikari finally turns round to his son and says, "Good job, Shinji." And Shinji's world is set alight. He finally gets the approval from his father that he's desperately sought this time.
Yeah, and it kind of spurs him on to continue on, gives him a purpose.
Episode 13, Angel Infiltration, and I'm never going to pronounce this correctly. Lilliputian Hitcher.
Lilliputian? Is it like a soft
yes.
T?
Yes, it's a reference to something to do with religion, which is why episode 13 has been renamed
Religious Imagery Up the Wazoo.
Yes, because
I think it's another direct quote from that episode.
I think it has to be, yes. This is an episode where we discover the Magi, I think, and who they really are. The angel has infiltrated the nerve-based, got into the computers of the Magi, who have the name of the three wise men that we discovered in our episode, embarrassingly.
Good memories.
But yeah, it's just full of those different parts of that religious imagery. and kind of builds more and more towards Adam, the spear of destiny, all of this very clear religious imagery that's been connected with the angels, and by the fact that there are the words Genesis and Evangelion in the title of the show. I mean, it should fucking be obvious anyway, but yeah. Episode 14, which I have skipped multiple times on viewing this. Both times, I think, I have renamed a recap episode. I'll skip this on. Fuck, I missed so much. Because this is the episode that is full of that classic anime, we'll just kind of recap everything that's happened so far. And then the second half of that episode is the most important stuff of, like, anything.
And that's exactly what we're doing right now. We're recapping everything to then go on and discuss the development of how it
Yeah, because at this point, by the time we start, we're in the second half of, this is when you need to remember everything that's happened so far before we go on to discuss the final half, yeah. So I do think that it's important. Episode 15, Lies and Silence. Those women longed for the touch of others' lips and thus invited their kisses.
This is a long Dom title.
Yeah.
Kaji isn't so bad. Wait, he's a traitor. Wait, is Adam crucified? What the hell is happening here?
It's a good episode.
That is a good episode, yeah. Is this the episode where... this is the episode where Misato gets drunk and kind of bears her soul a bit to Kaji, and we get a bit more backstory into her. Sort of, kind of unravels a few of her layers a little bit.
Yes, and as she's drunk and Kaiji is carrying her home, we have a chance to learn more about their relationship, and she says more about how what she was searching for unintentionally was what her father. She looked for a man that could remind her of her father, and she found that in Kaiji. But when she realized, it was a terrifying realization, so she broke up with him. But now they're kind of back together. They've both grown up, only to discover that he's not just working for Nerve. He's uncovering something else as a double agent. And just as she finds out he's a double agent, he's like, "You think Nerve is so good? Look at this." And the doors open, and behind there is Adam, the first human/angel, crucified with the spear of destiny that we saw Rey carrying in the previous episode. Whatever the fuck is going on, it's some serious shit.
Heck yeah. And I liked it. It didn't really provide you any answers. It was just more questions, revelations, but mostly just questions.
Yeah, well, exactly. As it brings us on to episode 16, 17, and 18, that I think we can get through these alternate titles quite quickly.
Okay, these are on today's hit list.
Oh yeah, I've renamed these ones as well, but we can get through them quickly before we start to discuss.
Okay.
Episode 16.
Oh God.
Episode 17.
Oh God.
Episode 18.
Oh God.
Episode 19.
Oh yeah, he said, "You're in my house now, bitch."
Which brings us on to episode 20, which is our final episode of today. That that the original name is Of the Shape of Hearts and Humans, or Weaving a Story to the Oral Stage. That I have renamed 30 Days of Sexy Goo Times. No, but seriously, this show is so good.
That kind of sums up both sides of this.
Yes, yeah. So we're a fair ways into our conversation with Neon Genesis.
Sexy Goo Times.
It is Sexy Goo Times.
Sorry, I was getting a bit into that.
That was a little bit Austin Powers there with what you did. Just before we get into our exploration of Neon Genesis Evangelion, by the time this comes out, I imagine that our movie playlist that we did for the last time we recorded will have been released. I think because the way we're staggering the episode releases. So without wanting to give too much away for people who haven't listened, we did a movie playlist where we summarised movies that we connect to our fathers. And I said to my dad, because the episode hasn't been released yet, he hasn't listened to it, I said, "Oh, we did this." He said, "Well, what movies did you say?" connected to me and you. I said, Dad, I don't want to tell you. You're just going to have to listen for yourself. Guess what he said, Dave?
What did he say?
He said, I hope you included Lethal Weapon and the memories about pancakes.
Ah, yes.
And I was like, I don't want to spoil anything, baby, but I did.
Wow, good call on his part.
Yeah, right. But that goes to show the strength of that memory, right? That when it came to our father-son relationship, we both brought up the same memory, the same movie, and the same memory attached to it.
Same attached memory. Yeah,
yeah.
That's pretty good. That must make you feel good about how you might have sort of coveted that memory over the years, and it turns out that it was the first thing that he thought of too.
There you go. That's some father-son synergy. It does bring a tear to the eye. Yeah, there you go. Right. Speaking of tears to the eyes in fathers and sons who have absolutely nothing in common, we're going to dive into Neon Genesis Evangelion and episode 16, the sickness unto death, and then splitting of the beast, with its
Breast.
third Dominic title. Oh God.
Is it beast or breast?
Oh, you're right. Splitting of the breast. Yes, you are correct.
Boobies
Someone has been thinking about breasts. I don't want to say who it is, but
it's usually one of us.
Yeah. Usually, at least one of us is thinking about breasts. So, episode 16 is an absolutely fascinating episode. I thought, because it starts off with the what do they call it? The test that they do, where they test to see how they're synchronizing with their Avas.
It's like a harmonization test or synchronization test, something like that.
Yes, and finally Shinji has the most synchronization out of everyone, and Masato tells us what the Japanese is for "you are number one." Do you remember what she says?
No.
She says, "Shinji, you are number one."
Maybe that's just an English expression or American expression that has no translation, so they've amalgamated it into Japanese.
Yeah,
like all the weird French words that we use in English that no one realizes are French.
For sure. The more you watch anime, the more you'll be like, do you know what the Japanese for "you are number one" is? It's "you are number one," like that. And it's great. It's always amazing to hear those moments, because it always sounds so much more beautiful when it's not said in a Somerset accent like mine. So,
you are number one.
You are number one, me lover.
You are number one, yar. I'm a pirate. I can't distinguish between pirate and Somerset.
No, it's good, because Somerset is farmer and pirate is Cornwall. So we're kind of connected. We're connected in that way. Yeah, next door. Yeah, and of course Somerset is also located where Bristol is, and Bristol was one of the main pirate ports and during that time. So yeah, it's all connected. People are like, oh, you just like a combine harvester, and I'm like, no, I'm after that royal booty.
We'll just move on from that.
So Shinji is number one now, and he gets that amazing score where he's synchronized with his Ava more than anyone else. And if anyone
guess
is
who's
upset
pissed off about it?
Yeah, take a guess who might not be happy about it. It's Asuka.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah. So that scene is really important. So describe to us, as someone who is not the biggest Asuka fan, what happened in that moment, Dave?
I don't remember.
Well, great. Guess who is not number one? You.
Dominic is number one.
Dominic is number one.
You're going to have to keep
Masato.
talking, sorry.
If Masato told me that I was number one, I would be very proud of them.
I'd love that, yeah.
Yeah, we cut to a locker room where Asuka and oh my god, the most important character in the entire show,
Ray.
Thank you, thank God. Where Asuka and Ray are changing into their civilian clothes, and Asuka is like, that fucking Shinji, he didn't even do anything. I'm the hard-working one. We girls have to team up to make sure that guy doesn't steal it from us, blah, blah, blah. And then Ray just says, sayonara, and then the door closes, and she's gone.
Just been ignoring her the whole time, doesn't have any interest in what she has to say, not engaging with Asuka at all. And it's like, okay, bye.
Yeah, and Asuka
I like that.
has been,
I liked Rail the Morph in that moment.
but Asuka has been ranting and raving and just like doing her normal, like trying to make it funny. But the minute that Ray leaves, Asuka just punches the locker, the metal locker, and is so frustrated. She's overwhelmed with the frustration of Shinji having beaten her in this moment, and like it digs to her core, right? It's not just a mild frustration that she can gossip about to a friend. It's like this actually hurts her. It actually gets under her skin that someone is doing better than her at this, because like she's given everything she is to being the best, but Shinji is overtaking her in some way.
Yeah, and I think it speaks a lot to something about this whole first children, second children, third children thing, that there is some predisposed gift that all of these children have, which means they are plucked out of nowhere and given this thing, and it might not matter how hard you try. It might be part of your DNA, or just some natural part of your makeup which makes you a better Ava pilot than not. So regardless of how hard Asuka tries, Shinji might always just be the best.
Yeah,
Which is a little bit interesting. That's an interesting kind of extrapolation from childhood and growing up and being that sort of age, where you're at school and you're trying your fucking hardest to do well in an exam, and you have friends or other people in your class who do much better than you and seem to try so much less. Like I can't really relate to that, because while I did have friends who seemed to do really well without trying, I would do averagely and also not try. So if I had tried, maybe I would have done as well as the people who didn't really have to try, because they were just naturally either better at exams or better at retaining information, which I struggled with, but then also didn't really try very hard at.
I see. That is something that I can relate to, because when I was at primary school, my best friend was called William Brown, and
Shout out William Brown.
Shout out William Brown.
He's not dead.
He might be, I don't know. But no, I don't think he is. Pretty sure William Brown's not dead. William Brown pulling out the homies
William
just
Brown.
in case, but I'm pretty sure he's not. So William Brown was one of those lucky motherfuckers who was born in September, right? And there is a clear connectivity to that. If you look at professional footballers, the vast majority of professional footballers were born between September and December. And the ones who were not are the children of former footballers. Right? And there is something to this deliberately. Right? And people say, this is me getting somewhat off track, but I promise there is a connectivity between this William Brown and Neon Genesis Evangelion. Right?
Okay.
And people say, we're all affected by our star signs, and people grow up with star signs with different personalities. And if you're born in August, you have a different personality to if you were born in September, right? And you're like, what a bunch of absolute bullshit that is. When you are born does not have any take on your personality or whatever, but it does, Dave, and I, as a teacher, as an educator, am here to tell you why. But can you hazard a guess as to why before I get into it?
I couldn't even Eden Hazard or Thorgan hazard a guess.
Could you Eden Hazard a guess?
I could not.
But that was a good Thorgan Hazard reference. I love Thorgan Hazard. He's my favourite Hazard brother, if we're going into it. So, when you are 4 to 5 years old in the UK, you make your first step from like preschool or kindergarten into the first year of primary school, right? But if you the school year is between September and August, right? So from the 1st of September to the 31st of August. So if you go into the first year of primary school, you are in the same school year regardless if you are born on the 1st of September or the 31st of August the following year, because that's our definition of what a school year is, right? But if you are born on the 1st of September and you are 5 years old to the 31st of August at 4 years old, you have all but 1 day of an extra year of your human development before you enter into the school year. Right? And this is why professional footballers tend to be born between September and December, because they have had an extra year of physical and mental development over the rest of their peers before they enter into the school year that they are in, right?
This had never occurred to me before.
Yes, and this is a big thing in teaching, because you take in your children, and say by the time they are 11 years old, somebody turns 12 on September the 1st, and the other person doesn't turn 12 until August 31st. That person has had an entire year where their body has grown faster, stronger, their brain has developed over the other students. So actually, the old thing of when you are born affects your personality is true, but not because of your star sign, but because of the way that we have assigned your development and your growth through the school system. So those children who are born in September are smarter than the children who are born in August, purely by the fact that we have lumped them together, but they have had an extra year of development that we haven't taken part in, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, and it actually plays into stuff, but we just like throw it away like it isn't important, but it is important. So if I had a child, as a teacher, if I had a child who was born in like August the 1st, I would hold them back 1 year at school. Right, and I wouldn't let them go to school when they are supposed to go. I would hold them back another year so that they would be the top of their class rather than the bottom of their class when they enter school, right? Specifically because of the way that this works. Because that then goes on to your confidence. How smart are you assigns your confidence within your year level, which affects you as you go forward, right? And
yeah.
it really does play into things. And that was the case with William Brown, my friend William Brown, where I was born in June, but my friend William Brown was born at the very beginning of September. So he was taller, he was faster, he was smarter, but he was my best friend. So it was like, I didn't feel like a competition with William Brown, because what was the point? Right? He was always faster, he was always smarter, everyone liked him because he was more confident. But then I changed schools. From the secondary school, I did a few terms with him at the secondary school. Then I moved to another one, and when I went to this other school, everyone was like, "Oh, Dominic, you're so smart." And it was like, what? Like what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not smart. Because William Brown is smart, right? But like, I'm not smart. My best friend is the smart one. But when I was outside of that orbit, it was like actually on my own, with my own development, with who I am, away from the person who had those extra 9 months of development. Like actually, I turned out that I was pretty clever, and I was actually pretty fast at like the 100-meter sprint or whatever, you know. But when you are in the surroundings of somebody else, it's difficult to not compare your own development to somebody else's and have that affect your own growth.
Yeah, and you either work harder to catch up with that person, or you can let it kind of crush you.
Yeah, and for William Brown, who was always a good friend, I'm not going to pretend that he was like some kind of like I'm the best. He was always he was a nice guy, super intelligent, super athletic, good guy all round. But outside of, I was able to grow into my own shell outside of a superior best friend, if that makes sense. Yeah. And that's kind of what we see with these Ava pilots as well, right? Where when Shinji exists outside of the constraints that have been put on him by his father, by the other pilots, he grows to his full potential. But like, other people can't handle the fact that he is as good as he is. And Asuka is kind of a perfect example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame we can't find out their birthdays.
Yeah, well, I bet Shinji would have been born in like July or August or something like that, which is why he's always kind of not stunted, but he's almost held back in comparison.
But he does kind of look like his best friends in his school class, Suzuhara and Ida. They both look bigger than him, especially Suzuhara, who's like basically a man in a tracksuit. That apparently is in the same school year, so still 14.
Yeah, Suzuhara is definitely an October born. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, I think like my favourite scene from episode 16, because we're still kind of on that moment, is Shinji has been praised by Misato. You are number one. And Shinji is happy about it, but he doesn't celebrate until he's on the bus. Right, he's on the school bus on his own, and he's like, yes, I did it. and he's so happy with himself. But then, as he looks to the front of the bus, two like 5-year-old kids turn around and laugh at him for celebrating. And in that moment, he retreats inwards to himself, right, where he finally had space to celebrate and to be proud of himself, and then these like little kids mock him for his pride, and he
Little shits.
yeah, he takes it all back within, right? He can't build that confidence. Someone mocks him for that confidence. And I was talking about that to my dad earlier on, and it's like, you know, that moment where you're walking down the street and the right song has just come on your earphones, and you're like strutting along like, oh yeah, the sun is shining, Marvin Gaye's playing in my earphones, everything's looking up, and then someone looks at you like, what is this motherfucker doing?
Yeah. And would that make you retreat back into your shell, and you'd be like, "Oops, sorry, I can't move to your sweet soulful sounds, Marvin. I've got to pretend to be English again and walk down the street without expressing anything."
I'm gonna have to skip Isaac Hayes' The Theme from Shaft and move on to something else.
Well, that's a travesty in itself.
Yeah. But it's a really good episode, episode 16. So we get away from the from that beginning bit with the different Ava tests. And
guess
Shinji.
What? And
sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, and then guess what? An angel attacks.
Yeah. It's a classic episode, but this one's a very different angel, Dave. What kind of angel is this one in episode 16?
Well, it appears as like a giant floating sphere, like black and white sphere, but it turns out that that's not the angel. That's kind of like a reflection of the angel, which in itself is a shadow. I think they call it a shadow, which I even have the dimensions for you if you'd like.
Oh, hit me up, baby.
600 meters wide, but only 3 nanometers deep.
Wow.
So it is just like almost, I don't know if you can measure a shadow, but that's its expanse. It's huge and wide, but it seems to have no depth whatsoever, except that it can suck things inside of it, and that's what happens to Shinji after an ill-conceived tactical decision.
Yeah, Asuka kind of baits him into it, right? Like the 3 Avas are sent up to fight this floating sphere, and Asuka's like, why doesn't the new number 1 Ava pilot try and fight this angel? You know, he should go and do it on his own. And Shinji's like, fuck you, I'm gonna do it then. You know, I am number 1, and he goes out to kind of, he takes the tactical edge as he sees it, but he's misjudged because they don't know the true nature of the angel, and he gets sucked in. And I loved the message that I received from you, which is, God, the voice actor for Shinji knows how to fucking scream.
He fucking does, yeah. It's insane. Like it actually sounds like a 14-year-old screaming for his life, like he's about to die. It doesn't sound like some actor just standing in front of a microphone trying to do a scream. Like, it's visceral and really affecting. And we get to see quite a few of those in a few of those in these episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shinji's voice actor, similar to Nancy Cartwright, who voices Bart Simpson. Shinji's voice actress, again, or voice actor, is Mugomi Ogata, who is a female voice actress. I was just going to say voice actor, but is also super successful within her own right. Like, has done so many iconic characters, including Sailor Moon. In Sailor Moon, although she was definitely in Sailor Moon, maybe she didn't voice Sailor Moon. She may have done. I should probably check this, but she was maybe the most exciting character in Sailor Moon, Sailor Uranus.
He ha. She sails into Uranus.
It's only funny in English, but yes, an amazing voice actor, Mugami Okara. Just like as you said, just listening. What's so amazing about Japanese voice acting is your ability to forget the fact that you are watching an anime, which you can never do with English voice acting. Like,
yeah, I mean, we should say, like, we've watched all of these with Japanese with subtitles, and with not redubbed in English, which I would always insist on in any foreign language thing.
Yeah, it's just incredible, and it's the screen. It's soul splitting. when Shinji screams. It's just, oh my god. You're right. Like, oh my god, they know how to fucking scream.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
you
she does,
feel,
definitely.
yeah, yeah, you feel that pain. So Shinji is sucked into the void, and everyone else is trying to get him out, and they're like, oh my god, it's some kind of portal to another dimension kind of shit. And as Ritsuko is trying to explain what it is, we get that amazing moment where Masato is like, you fucking sort this out, you cause this, you solve it. Slap. Yeah, we both mimed that slap. I sent it to you as a GIF. I made a GIF of it. It's such a good slap.
That's how good it is, yeah.
Yeah. But the most important part of this episode really is what happens to Shinji inside the portal while he's stuck in the portal. So what's going on with Shinji inside the angel?
Yeah, this is the part where I'm concerned that I will have not misinterpreted, but I missed an opportunity to interpret something. So Shinji seems to descend into this kind of hallucinatory state. It's kind of disconnected from reality a bit, and sees all kinds of strange things. One of which I think is his mum. Does he see his mum in this vision?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to leave it to you to kind of expound on this some more, because to me it was just... I would have benefited from watching this again, I think. First time through, it was like, what? Because this is a real bit of a departure for the show. Like, we've had sort of dreams, trying to have dream imagery, but to have a hallucinatory sequence that's brought upon by a trauma, you know, Shinji going through something horrific that none of us have seen before, and then for the show to portray it in this way is kind of new.
One of the things that about this hallucination state that you mentioned, I think is really interesting, is how there is so much imagery here that is being predetermined, all the way back to the opening theme of the show, right? And within, if you watch the opening credits crawl, so much of that imagery that has been suggested to us from episode 1, from the opening credits, reappears within this hallucination moment, right? It's all been there, waiting for us. And it's kind of, as you said in previous episodes, moments aren't wasted because the imagery is recurring deliberately to build upon it. So when these moments are revealed, such as Shinji being trapped within inside the angel in this moment, it's deliberate, right? It's not just like that's a random image of a water drop within a pool where it's like we see a drop of like almost like a raindrop into water, and it ripples, a ripple effect. Like, and it's like, oh, that's an image I've seen before. Where did I see it before? Oh, that's right. It's the opening of the fucking show.
Yeah.
Right, and it's like that kind of recurring imagery pops up a lot in this moment. So, what do you remember from? There's a good couple of hallucination states within these episodes. So I don't want to try and drag you through too much on this one episode, but what is it that you remember from the episode 16 hallucination while he's trapped inside the angel?
I don't remember an awful lot, to be honest. A lot of things like that, kind of water droplets. I think maybe there are some landscapes there. Mm-hmm. Maybe, am I remembering that right? And the thing with like sort of his ghost mum was there, and I remember just thinking, is like Shinji falling into a black shadow is it too obvious of a metaphor for depression or falling into a depressive state?
We get some really nice moments where he has a chance to reflect on why he's in the Ava, and he sees some flashbacks to his father as well. Why am I doing this just for the approval of my father? And the most important imagery probably is the introduction of the subway cart. Right, we've seen him going around on the subway before, where he went around the entire city, not necessarily the subway, but the train around the city. Right, we saw the entire episode where all he did was go around again and again and again, earlier on in the season. Whereas in this one, we get some real building upon that idea with the image of him sat in the on the train, but now it's bathed in this orange light, and he's sat opposite himself, and we see and that image comes back again and again and again. And we're gonna fucking touch on this later on, Dave, because it's gonna build on our narrative maths that we've mentioned before, because this is narrative maths in play right here. Because what we see in this episode is him sat on the train, bathed in orange, opposite the childhood version of himself, dressed in different clothing. And he's almost being interrogated by the younger version of himself, who ran away from his father earlier in his life, right? And it's like, what if you wanted your father's approval? Why did you run away from him? Why have you come back? And I think I took a video of this and put it on my Instagram the other day because it's such an amazing moment where he's just like, I'm tired of being alone, is something that Shinji says to his younger self. Right? I'm tired of this loneliness, this isolation. But this younger version of himself, and as you said, this motherly spirit that appears, it's not coming from nowhere, right? Like where is it coming from in this moment?
Are you asking?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Where do you think it's coming from?
I don't know.
Well, because he's not alone inside the angel, right?
Oh, I see. Of course, yeah. It's coming from the Ava. Interesting. I told you I was gonna miss all this stuff.
No, but this again comes to the end of the. So we're skipping over a bunch of imagery and plot here, but for the most part, it is Shinji caught within the, what do they call it? The pod, the control.
The plug. Yeah.
Well, I can't remember what they called it.
The plug, I think, don't they call it?
Yeah, the plug. You're right, the plug. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the command plug, which is full of this liquid, the goo, the sexy goo, as we'll get onto later on.
Warm liquid goo stage.
Yes, another Austin Powers reference. Who knew that they were so connected? But he's caught within it, and it's not just a liquid, right? It's what allows the synchronization between him and the Ava. And as we see in later episodes, that really builds into something else. So it's a communication between him and the goo. But the longer he's in it, he says it begins to smell and taste like blood.
Yeah.
Right? He's caught within it, and all he can smell and taste it, and he panics, and he tries to get out of there. Like, somebody save me, Masato. He's calling out to Masato, screaming for Masato to save him.
Yeah, that scream again, that voice actor, just it makes you really feel for him, and I kind of wanted just to climb in and help him out. I mean, if it's done well, a child screaming kind of should have this weird.
Oh my god.
This weird instinctive reaction in any person to want to help, but we can't help. We're just watching him. Yeah. We're monsters. We're the monsters, Tom.
We are the monsters, yeah. But what happens at the end of his spiritual journey? What happens to him and the angel? Because on the outside, Masato, Ritsuko, everyone, they're ready to fucking drop 993 nuclear bombs into this angel to try and get you out, to try and get the Ava out. But they think Shinji won't survive. But like, what happens at the end of the episode to free him from the confines?
His Eva Unit 01 tears its way out of this floating sphere that's above the shadow angel that's on the ground, and just like rips its way out of it, and like there's this blood splatter everywhere. It's like a chest bursting alien from Alien, just rips its way out and frees them.
Yeah. Do you remember the final imagery before that happens?
Not at all.
All right, then what we're going to do is we're going to pause now so we can go and check it out, because it's going to be really important for our narrative maths.
Okay.
I mean, fucking hell, what a show. Right, even just pausing to watch that scene again, I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. It's so thematically dense, it's so visually dense. It's beautiful, really just beautiful to see. And so how could you describe what we just saw? We saw Shinji in the plug, seemingly having accepted the fact that he's not going to be saved, that he's going to die, but then a transformation of a kind takes place.
Yeah, something something takes control of the situation and saves him. And what we see is Shinji going from being in the plug, in the liquid, the warm liquid goo phase, and but it's all discoloured and there are spectacles in it. It just seems unclean, and he's curled up, and we think it seems like he's accepted he's going to die. But then suddenly, he becomes kind of like ephemeral in this kind of ghost phase, ghost version of himself, and then a ghost woman like swoops in like Superman and sort of rescues him, it seems. And he goes, "Mother?" I'm on form today.
No, we'll keep going. What happens after he sees the ghost woman, Dave? Because when we watched it, you said something really important.
I said when the Eva starts bursting out of the sphere hovering above the ground, I said it looks like a pregnancy nightmare.
So do you think there is any kind of thematic relevance between seeing a ghost of his mother and the visual imagery of being born out of the angel itself, where the Eva rips itself out like a kind of something so visually relevant? You said, well, that looks like a terrible pregnancy.
Yeah. It just, I don't know, it made me think of a pregnant woman waking up from a nightmare, and there's the kind of things that would just plague on someone's mind when you're carrying something inside of you that it won't come out happily. It's going to tear through and rip your flesh, and blood sprays everywhere. I don't know. I think you might be giving me far too much credit here.
No, it's putting these narrative maths together. Shinji sees the spirit of his mother, and then him and the Eva are born out of the angel. This is not some random disconnected imagery, right? This is deliberate. It's been chosen for a reason. We just need to keep this stuff in the back of his mind, and the back of your mind rather. So Shinji comes out, and all of the other pilots, everyone's fucking terrified, right? Like Asakura is like, oh my god, I'm piloting one of these Evas. Like they're not just robots; they are monsters. And we get that cool moment. What does Misato say when she sees this happening?
She says something about how Nerve know more than they're letting on, and that what is their plan to do with these Evangelions once all the angels have been destroyed.
Yeah, and we get that cool bit where Ritsuko was like, "Oh my god, what did we copy?" And Misato's like, "They aren't just copies of angels. Like something else is fucking going on here. Like, yeah we all know there's more going on." But at the end of the episode, Shinji wakes up in the hospital, and Rei is sat there watching over him. Rei is actually there looking after him. And it turns out that actually Asakura has been waiting outside of the door for him to wake up, and he sees her, and Asakura's like, "Oh no, I don't want you to know that I care about you." It's kind of a fun, jokey moment. But then Shinji smells his hand, and he says, "It smells like blood, right? I smell like blood," which is again that just when you think everything is better, it hasn't left, right? It hasn't left him. He's still kept with the trauma of what's happened.
Yeah, that's something you might carry with him forever, like a real Lady Macbeth trying to clean the blood off her hands, kind of thing.
Good reference, Dave. I like that. Yeah.
Shakespeare.
It leads us on to episode 17, which I think we can kind of get through reasonably quickly, because this is just a setup episode, I would say. Which is the fourth to be qualified, and the English title is The Fourth Child. So what's this episode all about, basically?
This is just basically, there's going to be a new Eva, and they need to pick a pilot for it, basically.
Yeah, there's some big explosion in America, Nevada, I think.
Yeah, there's a Nerve 2, like Tokyo 2 and Tokyo 3. There's a Nerve 2 in Nevada, and not really an explosion, but somehow it just vanishes. There's like a satellite image of the base, and there's like a flash of light, and all of a sudden it's just gone. And there's no trace of anything, including another Eva, Unit 04, which they presume is just destroyed, along with everything and everyone in the base, thousands of people.
Yeah, and one of the really nice things about this episode is it's another character-driven episode, where the focus is on Actually, it's kind of on other characters. Like we have our Shinji and Asuka relationship, where they have like a lovers tiff, a lovers quarrel.
Yeah,
That the schoolmates.
Suzuhara takes the piss out of them. So what's this? Another lovers' quarrel? And
Yeah,
we've seen characters blush before, but no one has blushed to the extent that Asuka and Shinji blush when Suzuhara takes the piss out of them like that.
Yeah, and this really is a Suzuhara episode because it's all about the fourth Eva pilot, and it's very heavily suggesting that he's going to be chosen as the fourth Ava pilot because he is.
Yeah, it was kind of so heavy that I was kind of expecting them to take it the other way.
Yeah.
And as if because we see him disappearing and being called to the principal's office, but we know that he's got a sister in hospital. So I was thinking they were going to make us think that it's going to be him chosen as the next pilot, but really, the reason he gets called out of class and the reason he's acting weirdly is maybe his sister has died in hospital or something. But no, it didn't go that way.
No. Yeah, we get some really nice moments between him and like the class rep, like the girl who's kind of in charge of the class.
It's like a
and
prefect kind of person, isn't she?
Yeah, she's got such a crush on him. Like she really wants to be his girlfriend, but she can't quite find the right way to do it. And it's again this teenage idea of I like you, but I don't know how to tell you that I like you. But how do I? Yeah, it's that kind of teenage naivety and kind of the purity of that character, right? She hasn't been corrupted. He hasn't been corrupted by the world of this Ava, of what Nerve is. But he has seen Shinji, right? So when later on he is told that he is chosen as the fourth pilot, for him it's not like, oh great, I get to be a pilot of these robots like his other friend wants. It's like he knows everything that is going to come with this and how his life is going to have been irrevocably changed.
Yeah, I mean, when we first met him back in the first couple of episodes, one of his first things to do when he found out that Shinji was an Eva pilot was to punch him in the face because an Eva, during a fight with an angel, smashed into a building, and that's why his sister is in hospital. So he's learned to appreciate Shinji and to like Shinji and to treat him and to be his friend, but his attitude towards Nerve and the Avas is that they're more trouble than they're worth.
Yeah, and he knows that the calamity that can come with it, right? It's not exciting. It's not something to enjoy. It's like being given a loaded gun and then having the responsibility of protecting everyone with a loaded gun. It's like, it's not some cowboy shit. For him, it's real.
Which is in great kind of contrast to Ida, the other friend, who is obsessed with Evas and the angels. And when he finds out that a fourth pilot is being picked, he goes to Masato and begs her for them to pick him. Like he's so desperate to get his hand on. Yeah, I think he's got more of an interest in just being a hero than he is in just wielding power and weaponry. But yeah, it's a complete opposite kind of attitude.
Yeah. This episode's really good because we get some nice moments between Commander Ikari and his number 2, and they're talking about Tokyo 3, the city, and how cities are. They have some good religious conversation about how humanity was kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and so they built cities to be their own Garden of Eden, and how humans have spent their entire life trying to recreate the works of God, and cities have become fortresses, and Commander Ikari, Shinji's father, is kind of like, this is a place for cowards, right? This is where cowards hide to escape from the world rather than facing it head on. And that's what the Avas are all about, right? It's about recreating the power of God to conquer God rather than retreating below the surface to hide from the wrath of our creators, of the angels.
That's what I was going to say. It's especially pertinent that the city that they all live in is underground. Or it's a city that can live on the surface. The skyscrapers are visible on the surface, but when shit hits the fan, they all hide beneath the ground. And I know I've been into talking about Pokemon a lot, but they're like Diglets. When they're up, they're exposed, but then they just disappear underground and to protect themselves.
No, Diglets are a good example. I like that metaphor, Dave. I'll take it.
Dig, trio.
There's a great moment here as well where Kaiji is flirting with one of the women who works for Nerve as well, and he's like coming on to her, and she's like, "Oh, but what if we're seen? What if somebody sees us?"
I go
like
so
that?
back and forth with him. Like initially he was a prick, and then he was like, "Okay, maybe he's actually got a purpose." and he was really nice with Masato when at their wedding and when she was drinking, and they had a really touching conversation. And then also we've seen him be sleazy, but then it turns out that she left him not because he'd done anything, just because of her own problems, her own issues with her father, her own daddy issues. And then now again we see him being a complete sleaze and hitting on young women who work for Nerve.
Yeah, there's a great visual comparison here, though, and why I'd recommend watching these episodes again, just to be like very specific about the imagery, where he's hitting on the other girl, and they're at like a vending machine, I think.
Yeah.
And as they're at the vending machine getting like cans of tea or something like that, there's like a recycling bin, or just a bin full of these used cans, and it's like a mess, right? The cans are overflowing while he's hitting on this other girl. But Masato turns up and he changes the topic of conversation, and we look back and he is ordering the bins, right? And he is putting the cans into like this one on top of this one on top of this one, so everything fits inside. And it's like, this is the dividing line between his character, right? There's the sleazy hitting on people, so he's like, oh, I'm always late to all of these meetings. He's never shaved, he's this kind of character. But then he cuts into action, and he's completely organized, and everything's stacked one upon everything in its proper place, and that's kind of his. Who he really is, rather than the Ava shield we spoke about before, like the facade of that he presents to the outside world.
He's a coin with two different sides that you can only really use one at a time.
Yeah, it's a great moment, and then Masato comes up and she's like interrogating him, basically, what the fuck is going on here? He's like, can't tell you, baby, like
because I'm a cheeky spy, I'm James Bond.
Yeah,
pew, pew.
But we get a cool moment where he introduces Shinji to his watermelons that he's growing.
Yeah, there's a bit before that I really like where Masato comes in and they're having a bit of a tense discussion, and Shinji kind of absent-mindedly and naively walks in to get himself a drink, and he doesn't really realise he's walking into a tense conversation. But then Masato leaves, and then Shinji and Kaju start talking, and Kaju says, just have a tea with me. And Shinji looks at him and goes, but I'm a guy.
Yeah.
Like, he assumes the only reason that Shinji would ask him out, basically, is because he's flirting. Not that he would ever actually want to just have a regular chat.
Yeah. But I really like these watermelon scenes. There's two in these episodes, I think.
Yeah, the second one especially is big. It's important.
Yeah, it's a real chance for reflection, and one of those moments of nature over this ridiculous world, right? Where he's just growing watermelons because it brings him joy. And it's like, well, what brings you happiness, Shinji? Like, I love growing these watermelons. What makes you happy? And it's like, I've got no idea, basically, at this point. Towards the end of the episode, we see that Shinji's sync rate, he was number one, but he's been affected by everything that's happened, and he can't find that within himself anymore. He's kind of losing that. And then the rest of the episode is kind of just rounding up what's happened.
There's a nice scene where Ray's been missing a lot of school, and the class rep, I think, or the teacher gets Suzuhara to take, because he's taken over as class rep for the week or whatever. And the teacher asks him to take the study guides that Ray's been missing around to her so she can have them. And Suzuhara doesn't want to go on his own, so we get Shinji to come with him. So they kind of, a bit like what happened when Shinji stumbled in on his own and Ray was in the shower and whatever, they kind of let themselves in, and it's just as kind of dank and sparse and dirty as it was before. And they drop off the study guides, and then Shinji starts just to pick up the rubbish, starts to tidy up. And I'm just thinking now there's a bit of a parallel between the scene, I can't remember which way around the scenes go, but then we saw Kaji tidying and organising, and Shinji starts doing that in Ray's apartment too, and then Ray comes home, and Shinji kind of just turns around and goes quite pleasantly, he just says, I only picked up the trash, like I didn't touch anything else. Like he respects, to a degree, he respects Ray's boundaries, even though they let themselves into her apartment when she wasn't there. But
he's learned from the previous time that he entered her apartment.
Yeah, not to touch anything that he shouldn't. He's just picking up the rubbish and putting it in a bag, and he's just being nice. He's just being helpful.
Yeah, and there's some really nice moments in there as well, actually, where firstly when Suzuhara is given the reports, and he says, "Well, I can't go round to Ray's house on my own. I'm a boy." And so the class rep is like, "I'll go with you," but he's like, Shinji, why don't you come with me to Ray's house like that? And as an idiot, blind teenage boy, he misses his opportunity for the girl to spend time with the girl who really wants to spend time with him like that.
Yeah,
And,
or he doesn't. He has no interest because
Yeah,
we've
I-
seen
I-
him. We've seen him like lusting over girls numerous times, but he doesn't. The class rep he doesn't seem to give any attention to. So I think she's just not in his. She's just not in his line of vision at all. Like she's not one of those
I think
desirables.
Yeah, that's that teenage boy thing again, right? Of missing exactly what is in front of you.
Yeah, that's true.
Missing that opportunity for happiness by like looking at what you can't have. It's like that. Yeah. So then Shinji goes, cleans up, and is very respectful. I think Suzuhara says something to Shinji like, "I never took you for the kind of person that would just help somebody for the sake of helping them."
Yeah.
Like that.
It's like when I first met you, I thought you were a real asshole, basically.
Yeah,
I never thought you would be this kind of person.
Yeah, well, that leads us straight into episode 18, which is life and death decisions and ambivalence. And this is like part 2 of that first episode, really, where part 1 is they're choosing their next pilot, and it's going to be Suzuhara. And then this is the direct consequence of choosing that new pilot for the new Ava. Because it's brought in from America. There was a massive explosion, so the Americans are like, "Get that thing the fuck out of here." Yeah. So they send it to Japan on an aeroplane or a helicopter. But while it's being flown there, it gets like infiltrated by an angel, and bad things are going to go down.
Yeah, it's like it flies through a cloud, and then there's like this flash of lightning. And I didn't pick up on that at all. I was just like, okay, there's some weather. And it wasn't until I was reading about it later that it says that it kind of got infected while flying through that cloud. I was like, oh, that wasn't clear to me. I'll go that far.
Yes, I've also watched this episode multiple times and did not pick up on the fact that was supposed to be the moment that the angel got in.
Okay,
anyway,
not just me.
It does.
Good.
Yeah, the summary tells me that that's what happened, so fine. But yeah, in this moment, this episode is kind of the different characters finding out who the pilot is, but nobody tells Shinji for some reason.
Yeah.
There's always a reason not to tell Shinji, whether it's Masato can't quite find the right time to say one of your best friends has just been picked as the next pilot. Asuka just doesn't want to tell him just to be spiteful. Like, oh, you don't know? Well, I know, and I'm keeping it to myself.
Yeah,
like that.
I think it's mostly because Masato really wrestles with the morality of it as it goes on. Like, she wants to tell him, and she knows it will be better that he knows, but she just can't find the right time, and he seems to be struggling with stuff anyway. And she's really kind of putting herself for the ringer over it, and then turns out she misses the opportunity. Yeah,
which kind of brings the second half of this episode is absolutely brutal.
Yeah, so, breathtaking, really.
Yeah, so the whole point of the episode is they're going to test this new robot with the new pilot. Everyone, Misato, Ritsuko, everyone leaves town to go and test this thing out. And they're like, oh, where's our classmate? Where's Suzuhara? Like, he's not here today. Why is he not at school? That's so weird. And the class rep brought lunch for him, but he's not even there.
Yeah, it's not like him to miss lunch.
Yeah. In the earlier episode, he's like, the best time of the day, lunchtime, like that.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah, but now he's not there, so everybody's kind of confused. But where is he, Dave, and what the fuck is happening?
He's inside Unit 03, going through his synchronization, harmonization test. Did you say that that's not in the nerve facility? It's somewhere else?
Yeah, it's on a more remote facility. They fly there, yeah. Because Misato wears her formal uniform to go and collect it and stuff as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that makes sense. Bringing it straight in and doing it in the hub of Nerve and Tokyo 3 probably isn't the best idea.
Yeah.
Good on them. I mean, it didn't count for much in the end, but it was a wise decision in the first
place.
Well,
why didn't it count for much? What happens?
They obviously they had no idea that this new Eva had been infected by a cloud on the journey over. So they've got we don't see Suzuhara at all.
No, that's a really interesting choice, I thought.
So we never see him getting into the new Eva or inside it at all. It's all external. They're going through the harmonization tests, but then whatever it picked up in that cloud starts to infect the Eva and infiltrate this harmonization test, and essentially it goes apeshit and rips its way out of this other facility, and very quite quickly they reclassify it when they realize that it's completely out of their control, and it's burst out of the facility heading for Tokyo 3. That this is no longer an Evangelion. They're reclassifying it as an angel, and they have to deal with it as they would an angel attack.
Yeah, but the pilots are completely unwilling to do so, because both Asuka and Rei both know that it's Suzuhara inside the angel, right?
Yeah.
But inside the Eva. They both know that it's their classmate who's in there, and they're not willing to... No, they can't find it within themselves to fight. The only person who doesn't know who the pilot is Shinji, and it's Shinji's friend. And every time someone tries to tell him who it is, the new angel kills them, basically. It's like, Shinji, don't you know? It's...
Yeah, it doesn't... I thought... Because they all get deployed. Rei, Asuka and Shinji all get deployed to face off this what is now a new angel. But Rei... Unit 00 and Unit 02, Rei and Asuka, they get dicked by this...
he annihilates them before they even have a chance.
They go to face it, but then they just get wiped out in no time at all. And it's most of the real trials and tribulations of deciding what to do is on Shinji going, but a kid just like me is inside that thing.
He doesn't know who it is, but it's someone like him has been plugged inside this robot.
So to him it doesn't matter. He is a true altruist, and he's just like, I'm not gonna, you're asking me to kill another child my age, and I'm not going to do it. And and this is where a cool daddy issues bit comes in.
Oh, well, why is it a cool daddy issue? Because normally Masato is the commanding officer, right? But why is this a daddy issues moment, Dave?
I can't remember why, but all I know is that Commander Akari is in charge of this operation, and he doesn't give Shinji many opportunities to change his mind, but once he's clear that Shinji is not going to engage this angel, Commander Akari commands, as he would, that they switch the control of Unit 01 to the dummy plug that they've been testing, which is basically, I think it's Rei's personality and brainwaves embedded in a sort of a backup control plug. So they take all control away from Shinji and give it to this sort of AI, essentially. At which point, Unit 01 goes to town.
It goes to Berserker Barrage.
It goes
basically.
Berserker Barrage, and just brutally fucks up. I think because this new Eva, which is an angel, is strangling Unit 01, and Shinji's refusing to fight, so they switch it, and the dummy plug controlled Unit 01 turns the tables and grabs the other Suzuhara's Eva by the neck and is just choking out, and then snaps its neck and wins the fight, but then proceeds to continue and just pummels the shit out of it.
Blood going absolutely everywhere.
I think this is the episode where the other Evangelion has been killed, is on the ground, but then he punches its head and the head just goes. There's just bits everywhere, and it's just going and going and going.
Even worse, Shinji's trying desperately to gain control, but he can't.
He's begging it to stop.
Yeah, and it picks up the plug, the entry plug for the other robot. And he knows that the pilot is in there, but he can't stop. And the Unit 01 crushes the entry plug.
Yeah, to me it looked like that was its purpose. That was its target. It killed the angel. It was done, but it kept ripping bits off to try and find the plug in order to kill the thing that was controlling it. It crushes the plug in its hand. Yeah, and Shinji does the best Shinji no scream yet.
Yeah, and Commander Akari smiles. We see a small smirk as he's like, "It fucking works, right? The dummy plug works. It's it's everything I needed it to be, and it's a perfect moment for him where he realizes we've done it.
Yeah,
we've got it.
Who cares at what cost?
Yeah. But
more fireworks and dogs barking.
Yeah, so the reason that Masato isn't there during the test and everything is that, isn't there to stop, to help Shinji, is that she was caught up in the test of the new Ava, and when it went on its rampage, she was presumed a casualty.
Oh yeah, it's her as well.
Yeah, but Kaiji finds her at the end and is like, "You're okay. Shinji's okay. Everyone's alive," but he's pretty traumatized. So Masato calls him and is like, "Oh my god, Shinji, I'm so sorry. I should have told you who the pilot was." And Shinji's like, "Masato, I've killed someone. Like, I don't know who it was, but I killed someone." And Masato's like, "Nobody's told you. No one's told you who it is." And then a signal comes through that says, "The pilot's alive. We found him and he survived." And Shinji's like, "Oh, thank God. Like, I almost murdered this person, but they're not dead." But then he sees who it is, that he brutally, he didn't rip him apart, but he was in the machine.
Yeah, he takes responsibility for it, even though he had no control. And the control was actually taken away from him by somebody else.
Yeah, and then he sees that it was his, one of his best friends that has been, he almost murdered. And again, the episode finishes with that Shinji Ikari scream, the blood-curdling moment.
Is this the one that ends with that great close-up of his face and his eyes, and his pupil just dilates like in a second, like just to show almost like a switch going off in his brain?
Because Masato's like, Shinji, and then the scream. Yeah. It's some hardcore shit, which leads us straight into the next episode, which I redubbed the third "Oh God" episode.
Isn't this the one that This the one where you messaged me that's called "You're in My House Now, Bitch"?
You're right. That is episode 19. Yeah. I almost called episode 19 "Oh God" again, the fourth "Oh God," but no, it had to be "You're in My House Now, Bitch," because it starts with Shinji has taken Unit 01 back to Nerve and then refuses to get out of it. And his father is like, "I command you to get out of that robot." And Shinji is just not having it, right? It's like, "Father, how could you? You coward. You took the power away from me. You almost made me kill my friend." And everyone in Nerve is like, "Shinji, it was either them or us. And, your father made the decision he had to make." And Shinji's like, "That's not good enough. I want to speak to my father right now." And his father's like, "Stun him and get him out of there. He's a coward." Like that. Like his father doesn't take no shit. He doesn't try and reason with him. He doesn't try and say, "Actually, Shinji, I did this because..." It's like, if the boy's going to complain, get him the fuck out of there. And they stick him in massive handcuffs. There's a close-up where they've got 4 pairs of handcuffs on him in that episode.
Like he's any danger when he's outside of his suit, though. Is it just over-the-top punishment?
It could well be, yeah. But this is a really interesting moment towards the beginning where both Shinji and Suzuhara are in hospital together, right? They're in hospital beds next to each other, recovering from what's happened.
Yeah.
And one of the opening scenes, we see Suzuhara has the vision of Shinji and Rei on the train, on the subway, going around in that moment. And Suzuhara is looking at Rei, talking to Shinji on the train, and Shinji is like, "How could my father have treated me this way? He didn't take into account my feelings." And Rei is like, "Did you try and understand his feelings?" And Shinji's like, "I did try and understand him, but he, just when I thought I could like him, he does this, he betrays me again." And Suzuhara is watching all of this like, what are they fighting about? I don't understand what's going on. Dave, what do you think is going on? Narrative maths me, baby.
Well, only because you walked me through this so much earlier. Suzuhara has now been in an Eva, and if we take that the visions that came to Shinji were coming from his Evangelion, Suzuhara must be picking some up from his. Right?
Keep going. Narrative maths me.
Oh, come on, man. I can't think that deeply. I do appreciate how you treat me like I'm on your level, even though
don't be so stupid.
I'm the gormless consumer, and you are the analyst and the philosopher.
Well, just keep going, right? So we have 3 Ava pilots within this scene, right? And they're all sharing a connection, and they're all having a conversation, while Suzuhara is witnessing a conversation. But the conversation is not actually happening in real time, right?
Yeah.
Shinji is asleep, well, is passed out in the hospital bed next to him. So what is Suzuhara witnessing?
He's witnessing Shinji's dream.
Great. Okay, how is he witnessing Shinji's dream? Do you think, if you had to guess?
How is he witnessing Shinji's dream?
What is the connection going on between them?
You're going to have to tell me.
No, you've mentioned it already, right? What is the similarity between these three characters?
Their age, and they've all been essentially chosen because of some predestined or biological gift or link.
Yeah, great.
This might actually be the episode where they reveal that the whole class are potential EVA pilots, and it was going to be one of them. And the whole reason they're still in Tokyo 3, and the whole reason they've been pulled together is so they can keep an eye on them and pluck them out at a moment's notice.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So all of these characters are EVA pilots, and which means that they're all connected by the fact that they have been in the EVAs. So now that he has I can't remember his name.
Suzuhara.
Now that Suzuhara has been in the EVA, he has some kind of connection, a psychic connection. We would assume to Shinji, who is having an argument with Rei. But when we have seen Shinji on the train before, he hasn't been psychically connected to Rei. Who is he psychically connected to? Who rescues him at the end of the episode where he's trapped?
His mum.
Okay, great. Narrative maths. We're going to keep the ball rolling. So, Shinji has a psychic connection to potentially to his own spirit, to the spirit of his mum, which seems to be in some way connected to the Eva. Right. Suzuhara is now witnessing the psychic connection that Shinji is having to Rei, which is somehow connected to his Eva, which is somehow connected to the spirit of his mum. Okay. Suzuhara is witnessing it, but doesn't understand what he is seeing. Right? This is too out there. But Shinji is growing in this connection. We know he's connected. He's connected to both Rei and to the pilot, and to the Eva that he pilots, because we've seen this happen multiple times. And we know that Rei is the only other person that can pilot the Eva, that can pilot Unit 01.
Oh, dang.
Okay, narrative maths. We're going to keep it going. It's still going. But we'll keep going with the episode. Right. So we get this, we're back on the orange train. Suzuhara is kind of like, what the fuck is going on here? But we get a nice sweet moment again where the class rep turns up and is like, oh, I brought lunch for you. And I couldn't bring lunch for you. I wanted to, but the hospital said I couldn't. But I'm still here to be supportive and nice.
Suzuhara apologizes for the day before when he agreed to help her finish her leftovers, and then he wasn't there when she brought it in.
Yeah. Then I think we get the most daddy issues moment up to date, which is really, this could be called Shinji Quits Episode 2, because Shinji walks into his dad and his dad's like, you disobeyed my orders and wouldn't kill your friend. And Shinji's like, I don't want to fucking kill my friend. You're a bad dad. And his dad's like, I'm disappointed in you for being a bad son. And Shinji's like, well, I don't give a shit because you're a bad dad. And it's like a whole scene where they just disrespect each other.
Yeah, and it seems like Shinji finally has grown some backbone. And even in what results in him quitting again, he does it with a kind of a maturity and a kind of severity that makes everyone take him seriously this time. He doesn't look like a scared kid waiting for a train that he ends up not getting on because he's so conflicted and so confused. He's like, no, this is it. I'm done. See you later. And there's nothing that's going to bring me back. And even Misato's like, well, we'll be here if you want to come back, but you seem to have made up your mind.
Yeah, even Masato says in like an inner monologue, like he's never spoken with such authority before.
Yeah.
Right, he's actually taking control of himself. And in that scene with his father, it's a great moment where his father is like, then get out of here. This is the end of our relationship. I probably won't see you again.
Yeah,
and and Shinji's like, that's my intention too. And then
Mike dropped, he should have done as he walked out.
Yeah, yeah, and then they walk away from each other, and it's like, oh my god, this is some heightened daddy issues, right? Shinji isn't trying to reconnect with his dad. He tried, and then his dad tried to have him murder his best friend. So we're done.
Yeah,
We're done
there's no
here.
way back from that, you would think.
Yeah, so Shinji is like, fuck this, I'm out. And he leaves, and then what happens? What happens next?
An angel attacks.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think it was in the sphere, the shadowy sphere one, where I was starting to get a little bit tired of the trope of like, and then an angel attacks. But you know, there's so much more going on that it's kind of okay, but it always seems to happen at very pertinent and almost deliberate times.
Yes, the arrival of an angel is very similar to George Lucas's use of the Force in Star Wars, where it's like, I need drama to happen for a convenient reason that I haven't orchestrated, so I will use the Force. Oh, it was the Force.
Yeah,
and
Deus Ex Machina.
The use of the angels is very similar. Oh, all of our characters are the most spread out they have ever been. If an angel were to appear now, it would be terrible. Say the writers as they write in, and then an angel attacks.
Yeah.
Like
But this angel actually was fucking intense and horrifying and just so a kind of efficient. Like if you were going to design one to be unbeatable, it's like Robot Wars. If you were going to design an unbeatable robot, then this would be up there. It just incapacitates anything it comes across with worrying efficiency.
Yeah, and it's the really terrible thing is that all of the Avas are completely out of action because they've just been dicked by Suzuhara's Ava, who just like tore through them. They were so scared to fight him that it defeated him. The only Ava that is still fully functional is Shinji's Ava, and he's just said, "Fuck you, Dad, I'm out of here."
Yeah.
So they go to try and fight, and there's some really great moments where Asuka is like, Shinji's better than me. Shinji's better than me. I've got to take this down all on my own. And she's got like Rambo style gun after gun after gun after gun, and she's like, like, and trying to annihilate this thing, and just like nothing happens.
Yeah. And yeah, then shit gets worse when the angel turns the tables. I called it the paper arm guy. And it's just got these weird, like, flappy ribbons for arms, but are obviously made of fucking adamantium or something. Because it just whips off the arms of the Evas with one stroke. I think it's Rey who's, her Eva's arms gets ripped off, and we see her inside the plug, like, feeling it. As we've seen before, this weird neural connection that the pilots have.
Oh, no, that's Asuka. That's Asuka. She's there dual wielding, like, rocket launchers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it just takes her arm off, yeah, and then she's left just on the floor like, I failed again. I've been beaten again. Like, I'm always being beaten. And then it cuts her head off because Shinji is at the train station and then is like, all the trains are cancelled because an angel has attacked.
Yeah.
So he has to retreat to a shelter. And as he sat there thinking, I'm not involved in this. This isn't my fight. Like, they can do this without me. They don't need me. Asuka's robot head just smashes into his shelter, and he's lying there like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, like Asuka, like, did she just die? Has she been killed because I wasn't there to fight? Like, is this on me because I quit that she's been, she's been hurt like this?
Yeah, the Spider-Man parallels coming up again.
Yeah, absolutely. It creates that crisis, that conflict within him. But because he's not there, they're like, well, who's going to pilot Unit 01? Because Rey's machine has been defeated from before. So they've put Commander Ikari, Shinji's dad, says, put Rey in Unit 01, right? It worked before. She's the only one who can pilot that machine. Get her in there. So they get her in, and it just fucks off. Right, Unit 01 is like, no way, I'm not doing it, basically.
Does that? I don't remember that. Does that happen? Dang.
Yes, Rey is plugged into it, and it doesn't turn on, and Commander Ikari is like, oh dear. And the number 2 is like, Akari, you know what this means. And Akari is like, yes, it's a rejection of me. Like, the Unit 01 itself is like, fuck you, Akari. You made us murder that boy. and fuck you, I'm out.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Showing
like,
some autonomy within these Evas that are supposed to be just tools, weapons.
Yeah, and it's like, because Shinji has rejected his father, the Unit 01 has rejected him as well. And it refuses to work with Rei. So they're like, oh, put Rei back in the other one then. So Rei gets back into the Unit 00, but it only has one arm. It doesn't even have two arms.
Send her out with one arm, yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. Do you remember what she does to try and defeat the robot? To try and defeat the angel, rather?
No.
She's kind of like an American football player.
Is she?
Yeah, she's like a halfback.
So you're telling me she grabs something and runs with it?
Yeah, she's got a nuke in one hand. She's got one of the N3 mines, or whatever they're called, and she runs with the bomb in her arm, and is like, it just says like she tries to kamikaze it.
Oh yeah, but she hits the thing's AT field, and she's trying to like rip a hole so she can get the missile through, or whatever, the bomb through. Yeah, I remember that vaguely.
Yeah, but Shinji is watching that while Kaiji's doing his watermelons.
Yeah, he
right?
sees
like everything
Kaiji.
is. Yeah, everything's chaos, and Shinji's like, "Oh my god, what's happening?" And he looks over, and Kaiji's just there watering his watermelons,
just hanging out with his watermelons. Yeah, and then he actually reveals something big, which I think is a question I've asked you before, which is why the fuck does this always keep happening in Tokyo 3?
Mm-hmm. Well, tell me, what does Kaiji say?
Maybe I will. He says that the reason that the angels are attacking is because of Adam. They're coming for Adam, but if they get to it/him, it will essentially be the end of the human race. He calls it the third impact, and that's it. So I guess I still don't know why. I still don't know why the angels know what Adam is and where Adam is, unless it's just like the T-Rex / Velociraptors thing we talked about before.
Yeah,
where they just like home in on their eggs somehow. But yeah, that at least we know that's their goal and why it is they are always coming to the same place. And even when Suzuhara's Eva that was going through a test miles and miles away in a different facility, as soon as it breaks out and kind of acquiesces to its angel form, that's exactly, he just makes a fucking beeline for Nerve HQ.
Yeah, and this one is like burying down, right? Like it gets into the facility, and then it's blowing a hole like straight, directly underground, just miles and miles down to try and get to Adam. Like there's no fucking around. It's like I'm getting there, and I will tear through like shielding. I'll tear through like, what have you got? Because I'm gonna, you can't keep me away from.
It makes that angel that tried to drill its way through in excruciatingly slow pace seem really silly by comparison.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you had a drill. It annihilates all the shielding in like one crucifix explosion.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So yeah, Shinji is there and is like, I think Kaiji does the talk with him like, there's nothing I can do in this situation, right? I'm just a man in the presence of gods, and the only person here with any ability to do anything about this and save the lives of humanity is you, Shinji. You are the only one who can stop this, but it has to be your choice, right? I'm not going to force you to do it. Your father can't force you to do it because you left. If you make the choice to save humanity, it's you. It's all thanks to you. But if you don't want to make it, that's your choice.
Yeah, he's so mellow. It puts no pressure on Shinji. He treats him like a grown up. Yeah, lets him figure it out for himself. Meanwhile, all this catastrophe is happening, and he's explaining what will happen if the angel succeeds. And meanwhile, he's pretty chill, just watering his watermelons, and is what it is.
Yeah. Well, then we get the cool moment where Shinji runs back. Right, he runs through. He runs up to his father, they're trying to get the dummy plug to work in Unit 01 again, but 01 is like, fuck you, I'm not doing it. Rejecting Commander Akari again and again. And Shinji appears and is like, Father, let me pilot Unit 01, right? And his father's like, why should I? Like, you quit again and again. You're nothing but a disappointment. Like, why would I let you pilot the robot? And Shinji's like, because I'm Shinji Ikari and I'm the pilot of Unit 01. And his dad's like, that's just the spunk I was looking for.
Commander Ikari strikes me the guy who just craves spunk.
Definitely yes, the kind of moxie, right? He's looking for that kind of moxie.
Yeah, some bravado, Shinji's owning his identity for the first time. And maybe I know Ikari gave him like a verbal thumbs up a few episodes ago, but this might be the first time where he's like, this boy's turning out to be a man.
He doesn't say it.
He doesn't
say it, but there's a really amazing moment. So they plug Shinji into 01, and this is why the episode is called "You're in My House Now, Bitch." Because the angel has dug its way in, it's defeated Asuka, it's defeated Rei, it's gonna get to Adam, and the only thing that stands in the way is Shinji and 01, who are like, motherfucker, we are synchronized. We're synchronized to such an extent that it won't even work for anybody else anymore. Yeah, now, right? Like they're so good. The angel bursts. It goes in through the pyramid. It's there, like face to face with Masato. It's like ready to kill Masato, ready to kill all of the team members. And just as it seems like all hope is lost, boom!
He comes in proper like last second, like dives in, and I think it like stops the thing from attacking with like grabs hold of its arms and have a little row inside of Nerve HQ.
Oh man, like before we've been like, the anime isn't really about robots fighting aliens, but in this moment, it is. Yeah, like
it's a good fight. Yeah,
it's a great fight. But I think my favorite so far, because it's so. A comparison here is the previous fights often with the angels have been like lightsaber fights in the Star Wars prequel movies, right? Where they look great, but they're kind of thematically meaningless. It's just a chance to have a beautiful looking lightsaber fight, right? Yeah. Whereas this one is like Luke versus Darth Vader in The Empire Strikes Back, where it's been building up. Earlier in the movie, Luke's fought Darth Vader in the cave in Dagobah and had that realization that if he continues to be violent, he himself will become Darth Vader. He sees the vision of himself in Darth Vader's suit in the cave. But then later on has to confront Darth Vader anyway, and it's full of tension and then ends with the I am your father realization, right? It's the point of the lightsaber fight isn't that the fight is beautiful, it's the weight of the characterization that comes with it. And this fight is that kind of moment for Shinji, right? It's everything that has happened in episode 16, 17, 18, oh God, has all led up to this moment, right? And now Shinji has got in that robot. He quit, but he's back in it. And guess what, you angel motherfucker? You're in my house now, bitch.
Yeah.
And just unleashes everything. Just screaming, shouting, wielding like knives and blades. Like he even puts the angel in the elevator.
Yeah.
And is like, Masato, get us up there.
She launches them back up onto the surface,
yeah, and it's like everything has been building to this moment, and it's awesome.
It's awesome, yeah. It's a real kind of like, fucking violence, fucking love it.
Yeah, and it's good because it's like Shinji finally comes into his own until he runs out of
his
power.
His batteries run out.
Yeah, the Duracell bunny finally fucking drops out the back of his Evangelion.
Yeah. Because I guess he's been unplugged this whole time. Because every other fight, they're kind of plugged into giant cables, which is really inefficient. But yeah, he's doing it freehand, but battery life only lasts so long. And now it seems like he's fucked. At least he got it up onto the surface, but Shinji's fucked.
Yeah, he can't do anything, right? Because the the mechanical control of the robot is gone. There's no power to power the robot. And so the angel quickly like cuts his arm off, and then it rips off the shell and is just beating at the outside, right? Like at the core.
It's trying to get to his core, yeah.
Yeah, the core of the core isn't actually like some part of the robot. It's under the metal like armor, but we find out it's not quite armor, but the metal armor underneath, and it's just smashing into him again, bang, 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 bang. And Shinji is there moving the controls backwards and forwards like come on, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Yeah.
Desperately trying. Yeah, pleading, desperately trying to get it to move, but it won't because the power's gone.
For a while.
Until just before that happens, just a quick flashback to the Commander Ikari moment. Is when they're in the Nerve HQ before the elevator, and it's that brutal fight where Shinji is just tearing this angel apart, and he bursts back into the room where he gets into the entry plug, and his father is there watching, and his father doesn't budge. His father is there holding the rail as Shinji fights the angel, just holding on, and then blood spurts over the entire room, but Commander Ikari doesn't move.
Doesn't flinch. Blood goes right up his face over his glasses, and he doesn't even blink. Yeah,
and it's just like, that's my son. Almost. Like that's kind of like the like do this, Shinji. Do this, and you almost also have my respect.
Yeah, almost. Because it also shows like how disinterested and disillusioned he is at the violence. Like things getting ripped to pieces, blood spraying everywhere. It's water off a duck's back. It doesn't affect Commander Ikari at all. He doesn't care.
Yeah. You're right. He's not invested in the fight.
No,
it's like
he's not cheering him on.
Yeah, come on, Shinji, you can do it. It's like either we're going to win this fight or we're not.
Yeah.
So
it's like a scientist was watching an experiment and just taking mental notes of the outcome.
Yeah.
He's not invested emotionally at all.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's to do with the predictions that go through, because they say, they keep referencing the Dead Sea Scrolls again as well, which is another biblical reference.
Bible stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and it's saying, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it says that if an angel is to reach Adam, that it will be the end of the world. But, it seems like Seal and Nerve are trying to fulfill some prophecy, but also kind of counter the work of the angels. It's, all kind of related to that. But anyway, just when it seems like all hope is lost, and Shinji is begging and begging and begging the Eva to wake up. Well, it wakes up.
It wakes up, yeah. Wake up, Neo. Knock, Neo. Yeah, it comes to life, essentially. But then it kind of like starts to... So it fights back against this angel and does quite well. And it starts to like sort of hulk out of its armour.
It moves in kind of on all fours as well, right? It doesn't move like they normally do. Like there's that amazing shot in episode 18, where it's Suzuhara's angel, but it's all backlit against the power of the sun, right? That constant image where it's standing tall in the middle of the sun. Whereas here, he's moving like an animal, like a beast, like a gorilla, almost like across the floor, scuttling around the ground. Not like a human, but like a monster.
Almost. It makes thematic, and it makes some sense that the Evangelions are made to be upright, humanoid-looking robots to stand on 2 feet. Because I guess it's like you're taking something that maybe was either copied from a beast or an alien or a monster and turning it into something that's a tool for humanity. So it makes sense that you would make it look like one, just like a samurai in armor or a knight or something. But then the truth of the core of it, then underneath, it is a beast. It is an animal. It walks and fights in a very non-human way.
Yeah. Yeah, we get that moment where like the Ava just regrows its arm, right? Its arm had been cut off.
Oh yeah, that bit's gross.
Yeah, but when it grows back, it's not like a robot arm
or a alien monster arm. It's like a giant fucking human arm.
Yeah. It's just like Shinji's arm almost has grown out of this. and I mean, it's a fucking awesome, just an absolute annihilation.
Yeah.
Right, as this beast has woken up, and it's not moving like a person. It's moving on all fours, and it's like ravenous. Right, it's hungry, and it literally devours the angel itself. Yeah.
But what I found interesting is that it does sort of hulk out of its armor, but then the people that are watching, Ritsuko and Masato, they say it's breaking out of its restraints, or Ritsuko says that, and Masato says, "What do you mean restraints?" So and they kind of, I don't know how they say it, but it turns out this isn't armor. This isn't for protection. This is to keep the thing that they're controlling in. Not to stop damage from the outside. It's to keep it in.
Yeah. Yeah, because God knows what the fuck's going to happen how powerful it would be if it got out. Yeah, and this is where we see the angel. Well, we see the Eva eat the angel and incorporate like the S2 drive. They say it's kind of like the power source of the angels, so that it doesn't have to rely on being plugged into anything anymore.
Yeah, and that's what was happening in Nevada at Nerve 2. They were doing a test on an S2 drive that presumably went wrong and caused an immense implosion, which just destroyed everything.
Yeah, but yeah, we see like it does that. You know, the Ava wakes up, it eats the angel, and sucks in the S2 drive in glorious violence, and then that's kind of the end of the episode.
Yeah.
By the end of the episode is like, oh my god, what have we unleashed, basically. And I think there's a conversation with Commander Akari where his number 2 is like, oh, so this is the beginning of it. And Commander Akari is like, yes, like everything that is important begins right now. And it's like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah,
right,
and what all this stuff that happened between the beginning of it and now is like what, the prequel, the precursor to the actual plan or the actual story, as far as Akari is concerned.
Yeah, well, that which brings us on to episode 20, 30 Days of Sexy Goo Time.
It's not at all as fun as it sounds.
No, but what is episode 20, our final episode for today? Yeah, what's it all about?
This is where, following this unleashing of Shinji's Eva, it stops, right? That after destroying the angel and eating the S2 drive, it goes to slumber mode or whatever. Mm-hmm. But Shinji, who's still inside the thing, he achieves unheard of levels of synchronization with his Eva. They say it's 400% synchronization.
Yeah.
And to the point where Shinji actually, his physical corporeal form dissipates and becomes, he kind of reverts to the liquid that fills the plug in which he sits. He becomes one with it, and all that's left is his suit floating empty in this liquid. It's fucking creepy.
Yeah. It's they try and give some kind of quantum science explanation of how he's become the primordial liquid of that existed, that created all life, and his consciousness is still in there even though his body isn't. And it's like, I know you're trying to explain why his body isn't there for the audience to have some, but that's not the point, right? The point is that he has merged with the Ava, and this is where we get the boobies thing that we were talking about earlier on, and that boobies. Constant call back to the similar visions that he had in episode 16, building upon those earlier visions that he had of unity. But let's jump into the boobies, because it's an important moment. Like, what are the visions it's that compounding on the themes of puberty. Like, literally the ideas of puberty become one with the wider themes and the story of the Evangelions themselves. So, like, what does Shinji see? What's part of what Shinji sees in his days of 30 goo?
That's it, isn't it? Like, there's 30 days of the people outside trying to figure out how the fuck to get him back. But yeah, it's like before. It's this medley of visions. But yeah, this part in particular, there are boobies, kind of. But he essentially is Shinji sees the naked forms of, well, initially the naked form of Masato coming at him and almost like lying down on top of him, and she's speaking, and I can't remember what she said. You can fill in that bit, but it's Masato there, naked and coming towards, sort of lying down on Shinji. But then it changes, and it's Asuka, also naked, and she does the same motion. She lies on him, and then it's Rei, and all three of them are speaking, and each in turn, sort of these naked forms of them come to him. And
yeah, it's like it starts off with one of the visions says, "What do you want?" And Shinji's like, "I want somebody to be kind to me." And the vision says, like, "I'm kind to you," and says, "It's like, Shinji, don't you want to become one with me?" It's like, don't you want to become with me? Yeah. You want to become body and soul, and it feels really, really good. Right, and of course, there's that metaphor for sex. Of course, become one body and soul. It feels really good.
Beast with two backs and all that.
Yeah, and it feeds through those different sexual urges that we've seen with Shinji before. Whereas Masato comes forward, the naked form of Masato and Asuka and Rei, and each one of them repeating in their different voices, like Shinji, idiot Shinji. I think Asuka calls him. And then in English, Rei just calls him Shinji again. But the actual Rei says like Ikari-kun, which is like the more like informal version of in Japanese. Whereas like each one of them calls him a different name for the different way that they approach him. Because later on we see that when they're trying to contact him from the outside, they're trying to reaffirm his sense of self with like Shinji, and like all of these different versions that other people refer to him and other people see him and talk about him. And so the Ava is doing the same thing, right? It's like, which one of these forms is the one that appeals to you? Because that's the one that I will take, so that we can become one body and soul. We can become one complete being, not two, empty vessels, kind of in that way.
Yeah, so it goes from being a symbiotic, reliance between the two of them to them being, one creature, one mind and spirit.
Yeah,
Jeez.
well, we see.
You were right when you said this is not just a robots fighting aliens show.
No, totally. Yeah. Earlier on in the episode, we see like Asuka and Rei recovering from the fight where they just got absolutely annihilated before, and Rei is in hospital, and Rei is survived. Is surprised that she has survived. Right? She says in the previous episode, "It doesn't matter if I die." She says, "It doesn't matter if I die. There are more." I think is what she says. And then she wakes up in the hospital and she's like, "Oh my god, I survived. Like, this is unexpected."
Do you think then that Rei knows about the class and the school? She knows that they're all potential or future pilots. Because she's got more of an inside track than anybody else with Commander Ikari. And there was a moment in one of the previous couple of episodes where Rei's in this tube, this goo, warm liquid goo tube that she tends to seem to spend a lot of time in, and Akari is always there watching her, which is weird because she's naked inside of it. And and then Akari like says, "You can come out of there now. Let's go have some food or whatever." Like basically asks her out on a date. So, well, no, that's not fair. They have a relationship where they spend time together outside of work. So, yeah, I wonder then if Rei might know everything about Adam and all of it.
Keep that in mind, because we've got one episode to go of the podcast. We have 6 episodes of the show to go. That's something to think about. Who is Rei? What is Rei's existence? And things that we have spoken about before and in previous episodes are going to come into play. And the stuff that we've spoken about today as well. So yeah, definitely keep this stuff in mind.
Okay.
And then Asuka is recovering, and she is furious that Shinji once again upstaged her, right? And she lets it out in some kind of petty, emotive way, like, "Oh, I can't believe it, like, I failed, and like, I don't want to know what's happening with Shinji, blah, blah, blah." But it's like a deep wound within her that she failed, right? Like, her life has been dedicated to this, and she was beaten again, right? She was lucky she didn't die, because everything that she is was given to that fight. And we saw how desperate she was when she fought the last angel. But she didn't stand a chance. And Shinji beat it. And she couldn't do it. And Shinji could. And that is taking a toll on Asuka.
Yeah. It's like everything she identified as herself is being disproven over and over again, and she's found it hard to comprehend that, really.
Yeah, yeah. We see some really nice moments inside the inside Shinji's vision as he's seeing the ocean and this drop of water again, which is what we've kind of spoken about before. And he keeps having vision of the word enemy and the angels flashing in front of his eyes. And it's like, enemy, 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 this is my enemy. And the Ava is like, why is that your enemy? And it's like, because everyone tells me that that's my enemy. And it's trying to kill us. And if we don't kill it, it will defeat me. But as his visions of his enemy progress, it becomes more and more projections of his father. Until we end on this glorious red backlit shot of his father's towering form looking down on him. And it's like, that's my enemy, right? The enemy is... They are telling me the angels are my enemy, but that motherfucker is the one who keeps doing all of this stuff to hurt me, right? Like, and he has a big exclamation. And that... he says, you hurt Toji, which is his friend. You hurt Toji, and you murdered mother, he says. And you get this big screaming explanation. So again, like, he's having a lot of realizations as we go on. But I realize now there is one big thing that we forgot. Oh, it's at the end of this episode. It's fine. We can keep
We're not
going.
there yet. It's fine.
Yeah, I forgot the episode is called 30 Days of Sexy Goo Time, so I should have remembered that it's at the end of the episode. Yeah, it's a lot of really important visual images. And we go back to the train again. We cut back to those same kind of things we've seen before, which is really useful for the show because it means they don't have to animate extra things. They can reuse those same shots.
Yeah, time is money.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally, absolutely. But what happens at the end of Shinji's time? Because on the outside, Misato is trying desperately to get him out for like 30 days, right?
Yeah.
Like, for 30 days, she's like, Ritsuko, you fucking... She slaps Ritsuko again. And it's like, you're the scientist. Get him the fuck out of there.
Yeah. She's pretty close to this, is Masato. But yeah, so it ends with them figuring out how to eject Shinji's plug. And they're not sure whether he'll be there or whether, what state he's in, but they're going to do it. So they inject his plug and all the goo pours out, but then all that comes out from within it is his empty suit. And Masato falls to her knees and grabs it and squeezes it and cries her eyes out. But then the Unit 01, Shinji's Eva at this point, is back in its sort of holding facility thing with all the scaffolding around it. And then from within the core, which is still kind of exposed from underneath its armor after the angel had ripped it off, Shinji kind of is born. I know you've mentioned about pregnancy stuff, Shinji is birthed out of the core of the Evangelion onto the platform, reborn, you might say.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. And again, Dave, do that narrative maths for me.
Oh, don't make me do maths, man. It's a
not
weekend.
Real maths. It's the fun kind of maths. It's the fun kind of maths. Because just before he is born, we see again another bunch of images where before the last time he came out of the Ava, he says that it smells like blood. Right? The last thing he smelled was blood. But this time, while he's inside, he smells something different. And do you remember what it is that he smells while he's in there?
I do not.
Okay, then we're going back to the tape. Episode 20. We got to do it for this. We got to do it for this last one.
Studying film.
Yeah. So that is the end of the vision sequence in episode 20. Do you want to break down quickly what it is we just saw?
There's a lot to break down. I was just asking you questions the whole time. What's this? Is this important? What does this mean?
The answer is yes.
The answer is always yes.
Yeah. So in the vision sequence, we see Shinji is lying in the hospital bed as he was before. But last time when he came out of he smelt blood on himself. But what is it that he smells this time?
He says it's the smell of a person. Is it Misato? Is it Rei? No, it's somebody else. It's the smell of mother.
Yeah, it's the smell of his mother, and then we get a kind of a further sequence where we get as you said, a really nice pencil sketch of breastfeeding, and then it goes. It's a beautiful sketch. Not to say, oh, that's some nice breastfeeding. I don't want to come across like a weird breastfeeding fetish person. But we go from there into a conversation between like Gendo Ikari, between his father and then his mother, trying to decide on the names of their children, and what do they decide that the names of their children should be.
They say, I think it's Ikari says Shinji if it's a boy, Rei if it's a girl.
Whoa, dude.
Whoa, man.
Yeah, and then then we get some flashing. Some flashing blue, that water dropping, that kind of blue fire, which has so often symbolized the being in the Eva and some kind of acceptance of mother as well. It is the blue light, and then it flashes to the red light, and eventually it flashes on red. It ends on red, and what happens?
Shinji gets pooped out.
Pooped? Is that really the word you want to use here?
Yeah, it's a word I often enjoy using, regardless of context.
Yeah,
Am I wrong?
No, I would say born. As you the word you used earlier, born is a better choice. Although I guess often when births take place, there is often a reasonable amount of poop as well. So
yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've never been present for it, but I have heard that.
Yes, so maybe both is probably fine.
I'm being very reductive. I'm sorry.
No, but then we see Shinji, as you said earlier on, Shinji is reborn out of the Eva in this moment. Does any of this add to the narrative maths that we have built up through this episode for you?
I mean, yeah, there are threads there that are coming to me, but I really wish that my brain was more switched on today. I shouldn't have gone running around playing football for 3 hours before we recorded this.
Yeah, it's a shame that I'm fat but have lots of thoughts about Japanese cartoons, while as you're active and not well built and a nice shape, and maybe you haven't thought about cartoons as much.
Well, maybe you and I we need to synchronize, get up to that 400% synchronization, so we become one, and then we'll be the perfect blend of critical thinking and very average sporting proficiency.
That goes to show how fucking bad I am at sports if you become average. Yeah. The real question is, which one of us is going to get pooped out?
I don't know. I wouldn't mind that. It looks kind of nice.
All right, I'll poop you out, Dave. Just for the sake of our friendship. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, we get a lot of references to the mother in the earlier episode where he's caught inside. The spirit of his mother is what saves him, and then at the end of this episode, when he smells something inside the Eva, what does he smell?
He smells his mother.
And then how does he get out of the Eva?
He is born from within
He's
it.
born out. Dave, add all of these things together, Dave. What could it mean? Why is Shinji the only one that can pilot that robot?
Because the Eva is his mother. Did I get it? You're doing some sort of celebratory dance.
No,
So okay, but okay, interesting. Okay, wow. Thank you for holding my hand and walking me through this.
I'm not telling you anything that they haven't already said.
Yeah, no, that seems obvious now.
Yeah, throughout the series. In the episode where we learn about the Magi, the computers, what does Ritsuko tell us about the computers and the relationship of the computers to her mother?
Yeah, it was her mother who built the Magi, and they're made of 3 supercomputers, which she designed to be like the 3 elements of her womanhood. There was her as the scientist, her as a mother, and her as a woman. And
so, yeah, she says her mother's personality was put into into the computers, right, into the Magi.
Yeah.
So yeah, her mother's personality is in there, and they say that the Avas are built upon that same technology into the Avas. So why is it that only certain people can pilot the Avas that they are piloting?
So he's saying that each of the Avas are the mothers of the pilots who pilot them.
Who is Asuka constantly mourning after and desperately wants attention from?
Kaji. That's who he wants attention from. But yeah, when she was asleep, she was babbling for her mummy.
But isn't it weird that Rey is the only other person that could pilot Unit 01?
Isn't that weird? And like Commander Akari said, if he had a daughter, he'd call her Rey. Oh.
But isn't it also weird that he pays so much attention to Rey as well? But doesn't pay any attention to Shinji. But Shinji didn't grow up with the sister, but they're the same age. What a mystery to be revealed in the future. And then isn't it really bizarre that earlier in the episode, when Shinji had a vision of the Avas, we said, what did the eye look like when he saw the eye in the skyscraper?
A vagina.
Wow. It was all there all along. The puzzle pieces, as you have said, building. It's all been there. The narrative maths is there. Let's wait for episode 21 where they tell us it's not the case.
Yeah, they go, no, forget all that. It's just gross, and we like gross things.
It's just a disgusting robot. Yeah. So.
Wow. Revelations that I haven't had. I've just been walked to by.
No, you put it together.
That's like
you did the maths.
What? That's like giving a toddler like one of those 4-piece puzzles.
No, it's not.
And then be like, put it together, and the toddler being like, I can't be bothered. Can you just do it for me? And then you go, look, you put it in my hand, and you went, that one goes with there, and you put the other one in my other hand, and you push them together, and then just like a toddler, when I had completed it, I went, look what I did, all on my own.
No, it's like when a maths teacher puts a complicated equation on the board and says, now solve it. What does X mean? If X is Shinji's mother and Y is the relationship to their giant robots, what is the answer? And you did the narrative maths and came to the conclusion. If X is the eye looks like a vagina and Y is Shinji is literally born out of the robot after smelling his mother, what does it equal?
I want to defend myself slightly by hoping that a large portion of the people who have watched all of this wouldn't have picked all that up. At least not on at least not on the first viewing.
No, absolutely. It's one of those things that is there for you to learn and explore. And this is kind of the difference between a lot of Western storytelling and I think with Japanese storytelling, is that it's like, this isn't the Shyamalan twist where at the end the robot was his mother all along. It's like, and it's not that they're going to open up the Ava. Oh, and look, his mother's body is inside the robot, right? It's not going to be like that kind of like weird fucking twist. But the point isn't for it to be like oh my god, did you know that? The point is like, so when you achieve that, it's like, oh yeah, right, I see that, I see how that comes together. It's the point is that it builds on the themes and the symbolism, not for it to be like oh my god.
Yeah, it's not for shock value. It's you know, it's how it's what it was always meant to be, but they didn't just line them all up in a row and go, you need to know this, you need to know this, you need to know this. They've actually, it's like a tapestry that's been woven together in a very intricate way, and giving you clues but no definitive answers until you've seen enough of them.
It's like the opposite of The Last Jedi, where The Last Jedi is like, you think there's going to be a climactic battle here? Psych! You think that all of the themes we've been building on here in this movie are going to mean something? Psych! It's like as you'll say, it's like an interwoven tapestry. So when you see the full picture of the tapestry, it's like the beauty of it weaves throughout, and again takes away from that just giant robots fighting each other. But again, Shinji is born out of the robot, and everyone can relax somewhat. Nobody relaxes quite as much as Masato does. So,
in a manner of speaking, yes.
Yeah, why is this episode called 30 Days of Sexy Goo Times, Dave? What happens at the end? What happens at the end of this episode?
Well, some sexy goo times does happen for Shinji Ikari as well. But the episode ends with, like you say, everyone kind of relaxing, and then Kaji and Masato going off to do some good old-fashioned boning. Rekindling a previous formation, shall we say.
Yeah, and it's like, I think Ritsuko says, "Oh, do you want to come out for a drink?" Right? We finally saved Shinji. Do you want to go for a drink?
Let's celebrate.
And, yeah, and Misato was like, "I've kind of got other plans. Like, I can't go out for a drink. I've got other things to do." And and Ritsuko's like, she's going to Pound Town.
It's one-way ticket to Pound Town. But then, typical of this show, like it would have been fine if it ended with and through relief or something. We're gonna make Kaji and Masato rekindle. Like this is just a relationship thing, but they don't just give you that. They give you, and here's a huge bit of information that's going to affect the rest of the story in a really drastic way.
Oh well, what's that? Tell me.
Well, that's Kaji. They're doing the post-coital small talk.
Yeah. I didn't know you still smoked.
Yeah.
Well, I only smoke after this, which means you're the only person who's seen it.
Yeah.
And it's like just these great character definition moments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like the sex that you never see anything other than their hands grasping each other. Maybe she lies on his chest for a bit, but most of the shot is focused on a glass, like on a beer glass.
Yeah, I think you see them holding hands, and you see Masato's legs.
Yeah.
And then it's just for ages, for such a long time, it is just a still shot of a glass and like an ashtray or something. But meanwhile dialogue is happening off camera. But then Kaji gives her something, which I'm going to confess that I can't remember whether this is implicit in the episode or whether I just read it afterwards, that it's the sum of all of his sort of double agent spy stuff on Nerve, and he's giving it to Masato.
Yeah, it's not explicitly said what it is, but that's kind of what we can take away from it. When I first saw it, it looked like a pill. I thought, he says, "Is it my last gift to you?" I was like, is it like a suicide pill? Because things are about to get so bad that if she has to, she can take this to get herself out of it, kind of thing. I was like, oh my god, like that's heavy. But as it says on various summaries of the episodes, this is all of the information that he's acquired so far. Because in the episode, they make love, and then she says, "So are you going to tell me about what's really going on?" And he says, "Oh, is that the only reason? Is that why you're using me for sex?"
Yeah, is that the only reason?
And she's like, "I got to be honest, it's part of it, And he's like, "Oh well, I'm flattered to be used by a woman as beautiful as you." But it's again just this great character moments, and there's some sexy stuff in this scene. It's just again, you don't see it's not like when we see Shinji lusting after somebody and we see breasts or we see underwear. We don't see any of it, right? We hear some excited sounds, I think she says, "Watch where you're putting that, Buster," something like that. But it's a really charged but beautiful moment, and I have a feeling, if I'm remembering it correctly, that when this first aired, this scene was removed from the episode for being too sexual. Basically, I think it was because it's like a children's cartoon, or was it supposed to be? That scene was cut out, but it's a beautiful scene. Really, it's not pornographic. It's an emotional character moment that is it's great. It's a really great scene.
Yeah, it's great direction, because they know you don't need to see anything. That's not the point. And there's so much to be said from the image of like a half drunk glass of whatever and an ashtray with stubbed out cigarettes with lipstick on the ends of them, and it's just it's lovely.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite sex scenes in shows or movies or something, because the point, like in so many sex scenes, it's like the point is they're having sex and that's sexy. But this scene is kind of like when you see a horror movie like Alien, and when you see the alien, it's not scary anymore.
Yeah, it's over.
Right? Yeah, but with this, it's kind of like you don't see anything, and so it's kind of sexier because you're not seeing anything, and you feel their emotion more because you don't have to see it. That's not really the point. Yeah, and it's great. So that brings us to the end of episode 20. This episode is by far our longest.
So far.
Yeah, well, maybe of daddy issues completely. I thought when we got to these later episodes, we were going to run out of things to talk about when it came to Neon Genesis Evangelion. But it's kind of the opposite. And it's only going to get more so because we've got the final episodes, 21 to 26.
Yep.
And oh boy, are things about to explode. So
I would hope so.
Do you have any ideas about where this is going to go?
No, and my ideas keep getting more diluted or corrupted with every batch of episodes we watch. I keep thinking, maybe I figured this out, and then it goes to places that my mind doesn't easily grasp with imagery and symbolism and stuff like that. So I'm just like, well, to be honest, it could do absolutely anything, and I might not know why until afterwards, and until you tell me why. I'll get to the end and be like, all right, I can't wait to talk to Dom so he can explain what the fuck all this is about.
Well, that's when it ties back into my original message to you, which is I can't wait for those WTF is going on messages to come through.
There may be, okay, here's a prediction. There'll be some of those in these last 6 episodes.
Yeah, I have a feeling you might be right. But how nice is it to watch something where you're not just like, oh, and then they'll defeat the villain and everyone will be happy at the end. The good guys win and blah, blah, blah. Right? It's like, what is going to happen? I have no idea. And it's not because, maybe a twist is going to happen, but instead because anything is possible at this point. Yeah. Both for the characters and for the world itself.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there is and the heroes save the day, kill all the angels or whatever, and I also wouldn't be surprised if it ends in the third impact. And it's just one of these kind of the people who care about each other get together and cuddle and hug, and they just go, at least we're together at the end. Which one is it? Is it Deep Impact or Armageddon? It's Deep Impact, where I think Elijah Wood's parents or whatever are on a beach and just accept the tidal wave that's heading towards them because they're together, they think their son is safe. Why fight it anymore? Let's just let it happen. So yeah, it could go that way, and anywhere in between. Yeah. I'm not gonna hold on to any preconceptions or hopes or dreams, plans.
You are learning the correct lessons from this show. Yeah. The only tease I'm going to give you, earlier on in the season, we had Ray episode 1. Followed by Ray episode 2. Coming up in episode 23, we have Ray episode 3. Wow. So,
well, you teased me a little bit earlier. I don't know if this was subconscious, but you said, I can't remember the name of probably the most important character in the whole thing, and it was Ray, and I was like, that's a weird thing to say because she's not the protagonist necessarily.
Interesting.
So I picked up on that. Check me out, fucking detective over here.
Yeah, we'll see how. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, I'm excited to watch these final episodes and come back and record.
I'll probably watch them twice, so I'm more prepared this time.
Yeah. Oh God, you're gonna need it. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for listening to what is easily 2.5 hours of this. Dave, you may have some serious editing on your hands.
Well, we've been going for that long, but then we had toilet breaks and there were dog intermissions, so maybe it won't be as bad as it looks.
Yeah, maybe it'll only be 3.5 hours by the time you've edited it. Yeah.
Somehow I add stuff in.
Extra toilet brace. If you guys have any thoughts about these episodes, and I'm sorry if I spoiled anything, hopefully you'll have seen all of Neon Genesis Evangelion before we reach that point, before, you've come to listen to this 2.5 hour podcast about it. But if you've had any thoughts, please put them down below and tune in for our final episode of Neon Genesis Evangelion, the series. Fuck.
Yeah, I'll leave it there. Hey!